you can't get an interest a copper in burglary or car theft. You certainly can't. No constable is going to bother with scrumping, is he?
No, nobody's going to be bothered with scrumping. But just going back to what you've just told us about what happened to you, that should have been investigated and that should have been dealt with properly, because that is clearly an assault. And also, it's putting somebody in fear. There's young families there. The cyclist is clearly at fault. So yes, that one should have been investigated. But the problem is, we've got to work out what are we actually asking our police officers to do? Because at the moment, we're asking them to unglue protesters from the streets and from petrol pumps. We're asking them to deal with mental health issues. We're asking them to go and attend to heart attacks because there's no ambulances and there's no NHS staff. So we've got to be really clear about, do we want police officers to manage and, reduce crime and make our communities feel safe? Or do we want them to fill in the gaps because other services can't?
Well, the minimum I would have thought are these high-profile murders, like the poor 9-year-old girl in Liverpool. But I see from the Home Office statistics that, in fact, the most recent ones, it's 2/3 of murders are unsolved. They're not brought to a conviction. So just to put it at its most basic, are you entirely confident that they will get the guy who murdered that 9-year-old girl?
I'm absolutely convinced they will get that person, because they're getting information from the community as well. And because when you're looking at your statistics and you say 2/3 of murders are unsolved, they may be unsolved today, but they will be solved next year or the year after, because forensics take a long time, information takes a long time to come through. So when you're looking at murders, you may be looking at a time period which is a year. And murders are very complex. You have a lot of people to talk to, CCTV, evidence to gather, and it can take years. And even with cold cases, you can go back years and years later and you can bring that person to court and give them justice. So I am absolutely 100% sure that the murderer of that little 9-year-old in her own home will be caught and will be put in front of the courts.